Hi there. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We are here to participate in a project kickoff meeting, which is which has been sanctioned just recently, and I do have a lot of information to share with you for this project. As a project manager, um, I have made some preliminary plans and also created a draft of all the information that you are going to be seeing today. The information that I will be presenting is on a very high level because this is just a kickoff meeting, and the following meetings will capture the technical details, the functional details, the requirement details, and more with more granularity. So let's begin. As you are all aware, um, right. So, the agenda items that we're going to capture in this meeting, we're just going to go over the company overview. Since we are all a part of State Street, this slide will merely capture some basic facts and some recent financial figures of the company, just to show you how well the company is doing and what the future looks like and where it's heading. And then we're going to get into the project overview, where we'll talk about the different staff and what the project is all about. And then we're also going to discuss the technical overview of the project, where we will talk about what kind of technical implementation is required, what kind of skill sets are required, and what's actually going to be happening. The next slide would be the project expectations. What would be the expectations from this project and from the staff that needs to be accomplished? What end goal are we all aiming for? And finally, the stakeholder management, where we try to capture and list out the key stakeholders and what are their responsibilities and how involved they will be, and what's our responsibility towards them too. So moving on, company overview. I'm just gonna glance over these facts and figures, because since this is common knowledge, we all know, we are all a part of this company. State Street is still a tier one investment bank, and it has a very rich history of 225 years old. Currently, State Street is in over 30 countries, which is a total global employee list of more than 30,000 full-time employees. Considering part-time employees and consulting employees, that number would easily cross 45,000 globally. So as of yesterday, the stock price of State Street was $96.99, which is up $6 from quarter two of 2017. That's the last financial review paper that I was reading. And based on yesterday's stock price, the current market cap stands at $36 billion. So we're up there. And again, just a fun fact trivia: State Street currently owns 14% of your electronically traded securities. It could be fixed asset, it could be stocks. So 14% of global ETFs is a pretty significant amount, and I think this is something that we all can be proud of. Okay, moving on to the core project overview. So the project was just approved a couple of weeks back, and this is the requirement that has been determined by the key stakeholders and the project funding and the project sponsors. And I'm going to get into the details of what the project is all about, but then to give you a brief overview, we have a migration project. This is a data migration project, and our expected start date is in October 2017. The staff that we're going to be carrying is one PM, one BA, and a couple of IT developers. And our agenda would be to convert all procurement data, global procurement data, and its supporting metadata into a new system. This is a regulatory requirement, and it was, it was also requested by the Internal Risk and Audit Department, where they mentioned that we should be knowing our vendors, whom we deal with, whom we do business with, and this is to ensure that the businesses, to ensure the State Street's long-term continuity. We don't endanger ourselves by doing business with the wrong people. That's the KYB focus. Okay. Now, moving to the functional overview. What exactly are we trying to accomplish here in terms of our project functionally? Before we get into the technical details, let's have a look at the functional aspects of the project. So, based on the previous slide, I said it's going to be a data migration project, data conversion project. So, what exactly are we moving data from, and where exactly are we moving it to? That mapping, that chart, I'm going to explain it in the following technical slide, but in this particular slide I'm going to talk about that all of the data is actually moving into one singular data warehouse, and that will give you a flavor as to what's coming up in the next technical slide. And all of this data and its metadata will have to go through a conversion process. This conversion process is actually an elaborate task, and it contains several subtasks. So, for example, in the first step of the conversion process would be to actually gather the data. You have to actually get hold of the physical data from all of these global regional offices that State Street has. As I mentioned earlier, more than 30 offices worldwide. And the second stage would be to actually cleanse the data. We would have to scrub and dice and slice the data to make sure the data is in compliance with the new systems. Then we'll have to test the data in multiple environments to make sure that the data is in sync with the requirements and technical specifications of the application. Then we would actually go through the actual conversion of data in the production environments where the users can see the data. And after that, we would actually be performing an intensive post-production validation where we make sure that the data stays in there as it's intended to, and not with any other variations. And then obviously once the data is in there, we perform a weekly reconciliation between the legacy data and the new system until a period of 6 months. Then that's when we let go of the legacy systems. All right, so let's have a look at the technical aspects of the project. So the system that is receiving the Oracle R12, receiving the procurement data is actually Oracle R12, and it's a data warehouse. The front end module is going to be the e-business suite procurement module. That will be the front end user applications that the business users, you and I, would be interacting with. But then on a back end, it would be sitting on an Oracle R12 architecture data warehouse. In terms of sheer space, we would be needing 10 terabyte server space, and 7 of those server spaces would be required. This is for future proofing. The initial conversion would actually just utilize somewhere around 3 to 4 terabytes of data. The remaining 6 terabytes is would be used for backup and mitigative space, keeping some space aside for mitigation, and also for future increase of data, increase in width of data. There are 3 test environments that we would be testing the data conversion in. Yeah, I don't want to list all of them out right now, but then there are 3 environments just so that you be aware. Okay, so here on the chart you can see all the boxes that are mentioned in yellow are our legacy data systems: 11i, Sun 4 and 6, manual files, Novabank, SSGX, Sage, and all of these, all of the data, all the procurement data within these legacy systems would actually go through a conversion process marked here in gray, which I discussed in the earlier slide, and it would actually land in the Oracle R12 database tables. And I agree that this particular slide can be elaborated in a more I think more it can be elaborated on extensively, and we can talk a lot about it. But since this is just a kickoff meeting and it's an overview for all the audience, in here we've got our stakeholders, we've got our IT team, we've got our sponsors, and also the project team, I think it's fair to keep it simple. All right, so based on that, let's have a look at the project expectations. The project expectations is that at the end of this project, we should have 100% of the data in the system. During the testing, we should have at least a 95% success rate. And, we have 6 months until after go live to make sure that the legacy systems are decommissioned, so they go out of business. Right, so the triple constraints for this project would be: we have $400,000 of budget, we have 18 months of timeline, and our data is global procurement data. So as simple as that. I cannot make this more simpler for you guys. Right, so moving on to stakeholder management. I know we're almost out of time. Just bear with me for a minute here. We've got five key stakeholders from global accounts payable, and we've got regional accounts payable, we've got regional procurement management, and we've also got the IT project manager. So all of these groups are involved extensively in our project, and for interacting with them on a monthly basis, we would have a monthly meeting to make sure that their expectations and their satisfaction is aligned with our delivery. And we're also going to maintain a stakeholder register just to make sure that we capture all the documents and all the expectations and requirements as it was set by them originally. All right, so these are some references that I used to prepare this slide, and that's the end of the kickoff meeting. And thank you very much for participating. Bye.